Why not?
So thanks for that, George. So as I said, this is our third Zoom meeting of the year. We're operating in our COVID downtime again, and it's not how everyone likes to come together, but it's what we have right now. So it's great to see everyone. We're happy to have with us today our guests from Dollar a Day. I mentioned at our meeting last week that they will be joining us. Our board met this week or last week. The dates, the weeks, it feels like Groundhog Day. So I'll apologize ahead of time. I sent out my weekly update and I had mentioned that our board had met and we talked about a partnership with Dollar a Day for this year, which we asked if they would come along and tell us a little bit about what that means and about their program. Is certainly one with the emphasis on mental health, and given the last 2 years and what we've all lived through, I think it's certainly a topical topic to bring to Rotary to have a conversation on for sure. So I'd like to welcome Brendan and Nicole and Alan here today. We're going to take, I think I told them I'd give them about 20 minutes to have a talk with us about their initiative, and also some time at the end to have some questions. And we'll then, when they log off, I'll give you a little bit of a club update on what's been happening. So again, welcome to Rotary. And I don't know who's starting, but is it going to be Brendan or Alan or Nicole?
It'll be Brendan.
Okay, Brendan. So over to you,
It was
Brendan.
Alan. Okay, Brendan's going to start by asking Alan to tell us how Dollar a Day all came about. How's that?
Sounds wonderful.
But first of all, thanks for having us all. 21 of you, or 21 of us, is pretty incredible. We've been on the go for a couple of years now, and actually 4 years now. I think it flies by. And this is the first service group we've ever met with formally. So a new chapter in sort of our outreach program, and hopefully we won't bore you to death. We'll tell you a little bit about what Dollar Day is all about, how it started, and the accomplishments we had to date, and how we see a possible partnership with the Rotary Club of St. John's working. So over to you, Alan.
Yeah, very quickly. Thanks, Brendan. Thanks everybody for your time today. Dollar Day Foundation started very simply and organically. Great Big Sea had a studio for a number of years down where the big Boston Pizza is on the end of Water Street now. And I lived on the other end of downtown, and we had a studio upstairs in that building on the end of Water Street. And I walked from my place to the length of Water Street down to the studio quite regularly for a couple of years. And in one particular time, while we were working on a record, there was a gent who used to sit next to the bank of the right across from the landing place there, and was asking for money every day. And I used to give him $1 every day, and I would talk to him about his sort of mental health and addictions issues. And it just became like in the middle of like a stressful month of making a record, it became kind of like a pleasant stop in my day. And I just, as bands used to do, and hopefully will do again, when the record was finished, we went down the road, and I thought about that guy and that little oasis in my day, and I wondered how I could give him $1 a day without actually being there to give him $1 a day. And so I started, this is, I don't know, my God, must be 10 years ago, 12 years ago now. I started just saving $1 a day. I just used to put it in my knapsack, or like 4 quarters or a loonie or whatever. And at the end of that year, I gave $365 to one of the mental health and addictions facilities in St. John's. And the next year I did it, and I did it 2 or 3 years in a row, and I never sort of even mentioned it to anyone. And then on Tibbs Eve 3 or 4 years ago, myself and Brendan and Andrew Fury are walking downtown and just shopping and stuff. And I mentioned to the guys what I had done. I just donated $365 again to, I believe that year it was the Gathering Place or whatever. And I told them about my regular saving $1 and how I didn't find it that hard to find 4 quarters a day. And I just kept, and they thought it was a really cool idea, and I thought that they meant that they would do it too. And I thought that would be great if they did. But of course, being big thinkers like they are, that's how A Day Foundation was born. And Brendan and Andrew very quickly suggested that we should all do it, and we should create an engine that makes it really easy for everyone to do it. To create a platform where if anybody has 4 quarters today and they want to put it to good use, we'll take it and we'll give it to people who are already doing awesome work on the front lines. Like, there are these amazing places in our town in St. John's and all over Newfoundland and Labrador and all over Canada that are, they're smaller grassroots mental health and addictions facilities that don't have tons of time to be fundraising and don't have tons of time to make even the community awareness, let alone national awareness. And we could give people's dollars to them. And we set down the road to start it. And just over 3 years ago now, I believe, as Brendan said, A Day Foundation was born. And maybe I'll turn it back to Brendan to give you an idea of how we took it from there and ended up where we are today, and hopefully how we go forward.
Sure. So if Nicole, if you could share the screen, I'm going to apologize up front. Alan usually gets to tell the story and sing songs, and I get to do the PowerPoint. And it's enough to have PowerPoints all day long in your life than to have to put up another one at lunchtime. So let me try and make this as least painful as possible. So we basically started off after that Tibbs Eve walk down Water Street and numerous people saying, "Hey, buddy, have you got $1?" Which really was the motivation of the initial conversation. We did a bunch of research back in 2017 before we started to just understand the need and to make sure, that our sort of thoughts weren't ill guided. And quite frankly, the stats were staggering. And one that really strikes home is that 50% of all Canadians, by the time they're 40 years old, will have experienced a mental health or addiction issue. So that really means 0 degrees of separation. There's 20 of us on the call today, and 10 of us, well, some of us aren't at 50 yet or at 40 yet, but are going to experience a mental health or addiction issue. And the flip side of that was that mental health and addiction programs were chronically underfunded. So the need was there. So that was sort of the first premise of the foundation. What was more shocking was when you peel the onion back a little deeper and you start to look at subgroups, and you learn stats like 20% of all children in Canada suffer from a mental disorder, but shockingly only 1 in 5 of the 1 in 5 get the help they need when they need it. And Canada posted the 3rd highest youth suicide rate in the industrialized world. And quite frankly, that just wasn't the Canada that we felt like we came from or that represented our country. If we looked at the business side of it, it's pretty staggering. Economic burden of mental health and addictions in any one year is over $50 billion. And cumulatively by 2041 would be $2.5 trillion. I think if you worked out 51 billion as a percentage of GDP, it's like 2.5 to 3%. So literally the business side of it is fix mental health and addictions and you have a strong economy. 30% of all disability claims in Canada are due to mental health issues, but 70% of the costs. So which sort of speaks to the long sort of 10-year journey that you're on when you're battling a mental health or addiction challenge. So basically, like Alan said, we founded A Day with a very simple mission, which was essentially to take your dollar as equals. Everybody gives the same. No fancy fundraisers, no black tie events, no gold and platinum sponsors, just your dollar going with Alan's dollar, going with my dollar. And we take them and deliver them to proven programs on the front lines of mental health and addictions care across Canada. Programs that are already doing the hard work. They just need more money to do it. And we made a commitment along the way. It was a bit of an aspirational goal when we first started that someday, through the help of corporate partners, we'd be in a position to say to our dollar-a-dayers that 100 cents of every dollar you donate will go directly to a proven program on the front lines of mental health and addictions. We thought we might be able to get there in 5 or 6 years, but through some charter corporate partners, all of whom have committed $100,000 a year for 5 years, we've essentially covered all the overhead nut through our few corporate partners. so that in year 2, we were able to say that 100 cents of every dollar that individual donors donated went directly to the front line. So when we did our research, when we were starting $1 a day, we learned some themes, I guess, especially from first-time givers or Gen X givers, that there was a sort of skepticism towards charities and how much went towards admin and offices, and travel and entertainment, and how much of the money actually got its way to the front line. So it was an important milestone for us to reach. So a little sort of chronology, I guess. We started in 2018, and we selected 4 charter causes from across the country, ranging from Thrive, which is a youth outreach center here in St. John's that helps those suffering with mental health or addictions, or perhaps in the sex industry, get themselves, get their lives back together, get them back into the education system, help them get their grade 12 skills training, and sort of help them along their life's journey. Living Life to the Full in Ontario is focused on seniors. You think about as you go through life, you retire, you likely lose a spouse, you move from your family home, and you have challenges with your sense of self-worth, and any one of those 3 or 4 or 5 things would be stressful. Put them all together, and it's a group that we thought was underserved. Headstrong was a kids youth group project in Alberta that basically specialized in self-harm and anti-suicide activities, and we helped them expand into the Indigenous community in Northern Canada. And Vancouver Harbour Light, which is a facility that Alan came to know when he was recording an album in Gastown in Vancouver, is an opioid crisis center with acute care beds and a mobile van. So it's really on the front lines of the opioid crisis in Canada. Despite all the upfront costs of starting in your sort of first year, we managed to distribute $60,000. So it was a pretty proud year for us. Next year, we expanded to 9 charter causes and distributed $135,000. But really, it was in 2020 when the pandemic hit, and we were a virtual platform and didn't really need to rely on sort of bricks and mortar fundraisers, those fancy black tie events and others that I spoke about, where we really kicked it into gear, expanded to fund 30 causes, distributed around $700,000, and really hit the milestone of having at least 1 cause in every province and territory across Canada. So a big year for us. 2021, we just ended. Proud to say that we expanded our group of causes to over 50. Distributed 1.1 million and passed the 2 million mark cumulatively. So we've really got some wind in our sails. We have now at least 2 programs that we support in every province and territory in Canada, and we truly are coast to coast to coast. So a true national foundation, although obviously its roots are in Newfoundland, and it's, if you were to sort of count the logos, you might suggest that Newfoundland causes have punched over their weight. But isn't that Newfoundland in general, I guess? So, great milestones and real progress, and some real wind in our sails entering 2022. We like to get out and meet with the groups, do our due diligence, not just hand out a check, but actually get to understand, where the money will go, where the need is, how it'll help them expand. Sometimes it's as simple as, a $5,000 check can be the difference between keeping the lights on for the year. And other times, $50,000 is what's needed to expand that acute care facility from 12 beds to 18 beds. So sometimes a $5,000 donation is just as meaningful as a much larger one, depending on the sort of state of the operation. Obviously, COVID has restricted us from doing that, but we still try where we can to get out, and certainly looking forward to the day when we can get back and do the rounds with all 50 plus programs. What usually happens when there's people in need and times is entertainers put their hands up in the air and say, I'll help. Alan was no different. We launched a series of what we called supper time sing-alongs. Originally, it was just super organic and a little FaceTime live pop-up that basically snowballed into quite a series. We've had 3, I think, of these series now, where Alan comes online, sings for an hour or so. We raise awareness for $1 a day. We sign up $1-a-dayers. We get corporate partners to sponsor the night. And as you can see from the screen, we were quite successful in that series that ended last spring. We've had huge support from the entertainment community in Newfoundland. We've had the Enna sisters, Fortunate Ones, Rachel Cousins, The Once, Corey Tetford, Alan Hocko, Rick Mercer, you name it. And Alan has actually drawn in some of his more international friends like Russell Crowe and Scotty Grimes and Oscar Isaac, Jan Arden. And all in all, really had a hugely successful sing-along campaign. Next slide, Nicole. We launched a Change Makers Award a couple of years ago, and the idea there was to get Canadians to nominate deserving programs in their backyard. And what we were surprised at was just how many programs were out there that nobody even knows about. And it really acted as, if I could use the business term, a business development tool for us, a trap line of good causes. I think this year we had almost 150 applications from across the country, which is what fueled that growth on the maps that I showed earlier, from sort of 4 causes to 9 causes to over 50. So a real two-way street with the community, where members of society nominate, deserving programs in their backyard that might be tough for us to uncover on our own. The pandemic, of course, is probably no surprise here that a recent UBC study essentially said 96% of Canadians have had some level of personal disruption in their life, that 80% of Canadians feel that the pandemic has had a negative impact on their mental health, that suicidal thoughts and rates are, at all-time highs, and that the opioid crisis rages on as people turn to what they think is a solution and ends up being, a very dire situation that needs addressing. So the need has, quite frankly, never been greater for funding for mental health and addiction programs across the country. So we came up with this idea of we literally turn away corporate money because we try to stay true to our original sort of mantra that we're all in this together. We all give equally, $1 a day. Your dollar is just as important as someone else's, the next guy's dollar. And there was no levels of giving. So we had 5 corporate partners who cover the overhead, but we have lots of other companies saying, hey, we'd like to be a part of this. And we thought of how do we address that without and stay true to our sort of, $1 a day philosophy. And what we've come up with, and you're the first group we've pitched this to, and it's so-called a pitch, is Partners for Change. And we thought of, service groups with multiple branches, or franchises like, say, a Subway or a Mary Brown's with multiple outlets.
This meeting is being recorded.
This meeting is being recorded, definitely. Is maybe someone who just came off of needs to go on mute.
Yeah, can everyone mute?
So what we came up with is how could we put together a program where each branch or outlet or franchisee become $1 a day as a business or as a service group, and they give the same as individual $1 a dayers, $1 a day. So we developed this Partner for Change program, which we've.
Just 1 second, George, can you?
Yeah, I let Ian Wishart in a moment ago, and I'm wondering if it's Ian.
Yeah, just mute him.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay. Yep, it's gone from mine.
Yeah.
So we thought that this Partner for Change concept with some 45 Rotary clubs in your district and some 700 across Canada would be the perfect place to start. We thought that our values aligned well with yours and your mission to raise awareness for mental health and addictions care, to help communities, change the conversation, reduce the stigma, and really make a difference on frontline mental health and addictions in the communities in which the clubs operate. And our ask is essentially for $365 per club. That's probably the least amount of money anyone's ever come to you and asked for, is my guess, or it's right up there with the least ask. We thought about ways to recognize clubs who sign on. Is there a way to have a club, a flag alongside a $1 a day flag along your Rotary flag, or a placard on the podium, or a sign by your Rotary meeting sign where you regularly meet? We would treat Partners for Change $1 a dayers just like regular $1 a dayers, and commit to you that 100 cents of every dollar that your club and other clubs donated will go directly to frontline programs. So no administrative costs absorbed again. And what we thought our biggest ask of you would be for the St. John's Rotary Club to lead the challenge across the country. Start perhaps regionally, and try and encourage the 45 or 44 other clubs to become $1 a dayers, but ultimately have a national challenge across the country. And for us to secure 700 Partner for Change $1 a dayers would be immensely significant to us. And we think you guys would, really be the perfect poster child for Partners for Change examples that we could then roll out to other organizations, franchisees, multiple business outlets across the country. So that's basically the pitch. Hopefully, Michelle, I respected your timeline, and you can open up for any questions you might have.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brendan. So I guess from our perspective, the club's perspective, I will speak to, certainly our executive has the fact that it's $365 is, like you said, we do get asked for sums far bigger than that. And I guess from where we sit, it's more about the partnership for sure. We like the fact that it's around mental health and addictions, which obviously is something that's been important to our club. And we like the fact that it's getting to root cause, and like us, the money is going to organizations that would otherwise struggle to raise funds on their own. So, certainly, I'd open it up to, anyone who'd like to chime in with some questions or anything like that. Feel free to raise your hand, and George will take you off mute, because I think he muted everyone. Did you mute everyone, George?
There are a couple of individuals that are not muted, but if anybody wants to raise their hand, I can unmute you.
Any questions, comments?
Okay, Ted, Ted, you're clear to go.
Okay, Brendan, I'd like to ask you if there's any provision for funds that are donated from a particular area, like St. John's or Newfoundland, that those funds will be channeled back into that area through the mental health organization. So just go all into one big pot, which is passed out depending on the need that you determine across the country.
The short answer is yes. We've had numerous donors over the first 4 years basically place a condition that they'd like to see their funds end up in their community or in their province, not just Newfoundland, but any of the provinces. We've also had, as you would expect over time, some bequests from wills that had those sort of terms on it. I can promise you there is no lack of causes anywhere. So it's certainly not about trying to find a home for the money. So if that was a condition, obviously be one to met. And if it's a $365 commission, condition from one Rotary Club, should be absolutely no issue sort of honoring that request.
I have a question. George, a comment? Can I go ahead?
Go for it. Glenn?
Hi, guys. I'm part of the Rotary Club subgroup called the Caribou Group. We've been around since the 40s or before, I think. Bob Andrews and Jeff Higgins, two of my fellow group members, I see on the screen as well. But our subgroup's focus has been mental health since, I think, before the 40s, at least the 40s, particularly around the Waterford Hospital, supporting projects out there, patient programs, renovating gyms, equipping gyms, all sorts of things. and in recent years, the outpatient recreational programs. So we're very much focused on mental health. So our group just might want to get in touch with you guys and have a chat, because what you're doing is exactly a perfect fit for the Caribou Group. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Love to hear from you.
Jim? Jim, I can't unmute you. I don't know. You must be doing on your end.
And there you go.
Okay.
How's that?
Good.
Awesome. Guys, great presentation. Just a quick, would you guys be available, or somebody to do that PowerPoint within the next month or so? I sit at the district level within Rotary. It's broken down into districts, and I have a district meeting this coming Monday, which I'm quite adamantly going to promote this, and I'm sure that our current district governor is with the St. John's Northwest Rotary Club, or St. John's East Rotary Club, no, sorry. We're about to amalgamate two districts into one starting July 1st, which will take over all of Atlantic Canada and St. Pierre. And we actually got the district, the Rotary International governor arriving July the 2nd here in St. John's for all of Canada. So I think this is a really opportune time. So if I can get your voice at the district level, I think it would carry extreme amount of weight to get momentum going across the country. So if you don't mind, and if you're open to it, I can make that suggestion this coming Monday evening at our district level, and hopefully carve out a time where you guys can do this PowerPoint presentation to that level of executives for Rotary in Atlantic Canada.
Sounds amazing. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Yeah, Jim,
Ray,
I think what we could do in advance of that is Nicole has already shared with Michelle sort of a 2-page summary. I think maybe most of you might have got that.
Yeah.
But just to be clear on part of the ask is that we fully expect to help big time in the communication on this if we were to try and challenge 700 clubs across the country, including the collateral materials, more of these type sessions, whatever needs to be done to sort of get the snowball headed down the hill. So
yeah,
happy to work with you.
Especially if
Just-
there's an opportunity to do it virtually. It's because then no matter where we are, we can get it done.
Yeah,
I'm currently in a recording
the
studio in
information-
Toronto.
the information has been shared with the other club presidents for the regions. So most of them at this point would already.
I think
I
Ray had
was-
his hand
first
up.
off, guys. Well, first off, Alan, Brendan, and Nicole, congratulations on everything you've done to date. It's an incredible success story, and I know that the members of our club are really excited to be involved with success stories. So my question or suggestion was going to be, what's the way forward? How do we take it from our club's participation to launch it and move it across to Atlantic Canada? First off, our own province, then Atlantic Canada, then the nation. But Jim just outlined a tremendous sort of route to provide exposure. And if we can build on that, get a couple of your people and a couple of our people working together, then if you get it in the hands of the executive and the senior leaders within the Rotary groups, the ask is, as we all know, a nominal one. But how many Rotary clubs are there in Canada? Does anybody know that figure?
700. 700.
Is it 700? So you've already done the math, Brendan. What's the potential here?
That would be, Ray, 250,000 a year.
$255,500. So that's the potential, and man, it may take a few years, but I mean it's an achievable goal.
I mean, the thing also, Ray, that I think that's exciting about this idea, and it's that is that this, Rotaries then sets the standard for other multiple outlets or things, everything from, town councils to subway outlets, that have like multiple, and it's like, well, instead, like people think we love to think of it as individual dollar a dayers, but what about groups or classes or, you know, and like we said, the example is like an ask of 365 a year of a Rotary Club, as we know, is very little, but it's also it's hugely meaningful that if everyone gets on boards, everyone from fire stations to hockey clubs to whatever, you know, then all of a sudden there's a weight and behind it and a momentum that's far beyond what the dollar value is.
Exactly.
Do we have any other questions? Edna, did you?
Not a question, just a comment, actually. I just want to say congrats, guys. I remember Andrew Fury coming to see me to discuss it when I was still with, I guess, as a volunteer with the Mental Health Association. And at that time, Brendan, I don't know if you recall, there was actually some talk about Rotary at that time and you coming to speak, but I'm delighted to see it. And then it was decided, let's stick with the $1 a day and individuals, blah, blah, blah. But I'm delighted to see this concept now coming to Rotary, and I'm more than happy to help move it forward. So congrats.
Thank you, Edna. And also, you know, I didn't, you know, in the gratuitous pitch at the end, the ask, I failed to say, look, you know, you can also always be individual $1 a dayers. Just go to $1adaday.ca/donate, hit monthly, quarterly, annually. We'll take your money in pennies anyway. But several people on this call, and I'll call you out there, Edna, have been $1 a dayers since literally the beginning. And, you know, we really want to thank you for that, because that obviously, you know, got us going and motivated us and sort of sent us down on this journey. So there's a connection or a route back to many of the people on the call already.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Michelle, have you got the authority of the board of directors to commit to the $1 a day for the St. John's Rotary Club?
Well, why don't you steal my thunder there, Ray?
I'm wondering if you got approval. I don't know.
And the executive has
Go for
committed, so we are on board, and we're more than happy to help you at the regional level as well. So Jim, who actually sits on our executive as past president, we had spoke about this last week. So Jim is going to kind of that ship at the regional level. So more than happy to help you and challenge other clubs to do the same. So best of luck, and you know, whatever we could do to help you drive the bus, we're more than happy to do it.
Thanks so
So
much,
if I
everybody.
could, just let me leave you with this thought. Pre-pandemic, there were 500,000 Canadians off work every day in Canada due to a mental health or addiction issue. Pretty staggering. The entire population of Newfoundland calls in sick on Monday for that reason. One last thought. In Canada last year, there were 4,000 suicides, 11 every day. There were 48,000 in the US, 1 every 10 minutes. There were 800,000 globally, 1 every 39 seconds. So in the short 35 minutes we've been together, likely 40 to 50 people have taken their lives. So it's pretty staggering, pretty constant. It needs to be addressed. And we feel that, you know, we have a responsibility to do our part to make Canada a better place. So thanks for your time. We'll look forward to Michelle and team and Jim to whatever it needs, whatever you need, resources you need to make it go. You're looking at 3 of the whole 4 people that are $1 a day, but we'll throw the horses at it.
Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for
for
joining.
organizing, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you
day,
so
all.
much, Michelle and Ray.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Everybody. Thank you, George.
So we just have just a few things. I'm just going to pull up my email here. Just give me a few minutes. Just give me a sec here.
Jim, I don't have all of the access to all of the features to mute everybody, and I couldn't move around. I don't know if you and I are conflicting with one another. You got some rights and I got some others, but I know I'm not in complete control here.
You're all conflicted, are you?
Yeah, when people were coming on, I was admitting, and when we got to the mute phase, I could bring up the screen for everybody, and I could individually click on it. So
Yeah, I couldn't see that one on my end.
okay,
And I couldn't unmute at all. So I had to go from my laptop to my iPad.
Yeah.
get on at all.
And
So-
Ian, you're showing up as two different screens here, so you may have another item that's active. Anyway, okay, Michelle.
No, I'm just on as me. That's it. I don't know what's going on there. I only logged in
No.
once.
No, I mean Ian Wishart.
Oh, okay.
I just had a few things just to go through quickly. Later, I'd say over the next 24 hours, you're going to get an email come out that's going to outline our projects that we've narrowed down for this year for our annual auction for our fundraising process. There's 4 of them. I won't go into them in any great detail, but what I would ask is that we will have a meeting on it. I guess I should probably just give you a high level now. There's 4. One of them being a request from Share the Harvest we had Share the Harvest in before Christmas. And they spoke on food insecurity, and basically they're looking to provide funding for the I guess you'd call it the butchering and whatnot of meat for food banks. So that's a $10,000 ask for that entity. We also have a request in front of us from the Vera Palin Society for a welcome room for their on-site there for their guests, which is the ask there is about $20,000. And we also have 2 asks that are within the club. So there's been two asks that have been put forward that are, I guess, challenging, I guess, the way that we've done fundraising in the past and how we've, or not really, I guess, over the last couple of years, we've typically, done it and put out a check to another organization. The intent for both of these projects would be for them to be Rotary projects. The first one is a project which would see an accessibility, wheelchair accessibility done at Sunshine Park, at Rotary Sunshine Park. And there's some initial scoping that's been done on pricing for that. That's in the ballpark of $11,000. The second is a project that is still in very preliminary stages, but it has to do with kind of a spin-off from Alex Brennan, for those of you that had the chance to listen to him speak, I guess, a couple of weeks back. He spoke on homeless veterans within Newfoundland and the impact there and what we perceive as a need. So we'll send you out some background information on that and what that project looks like. But essentially, what we'd like to do is have a subcommittee that's struck to basically look into the issue. And we've got some preliminary work done on it, and we think that there's potential there for either a partnership or a Rotary initiated program where we could hopefully provide some lift for homeless veterans in Newfoundland and Labrador. Still very early stages, but the ask there would be that we'd put aside 50% of this year's auction proceeds towards that particular project. So that, and of course, we'd want to get, obviously there's work to be done there. But I put that out. I mean, you're all free to kind of have some commentary now. We've got about 20 minutes if anyone would like to weigh in or chat on any of that or give us just an opinion, but it will come out and you'll have an opportunity to give us some feedback, written feedback, and also, we'll have an opportunity to come together again. But that just gives you a high level of some of the things that we're looking at. I know, like, over the last couple of years, I've heard a lot of people talk about engagement and how we want to do a project that the club can get behind, something that can be initiated by the club. These 2 items were put forward that seem to do that, but we also have two other nice projects that, perhaps the club can do as well. So it's not necessarily a one or the other. It's more of a, let's look at it and let's see what the membership wants. So that's at a high level, that's what the board and executive and that committee have been looking at over the last few weeks. And we'll get you out some information on that in the next couple of days, just so you can have a read through it yourself. Any questions on that? I'm happy to take them.
I haven't, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you, Gord. Yeah.
Any thought about a project, an international project?
There haven't been any come in. We haven't had anyone come in with an international project for that, but you know, happy to listen if anyone has ideas.
Okay.
Michelle, I've got to bring in the point that we're talking about having an auction at the end of March.
Yeah.
Right now, I haven't got a letter out to anybody, haven't made a phone call because I don't have a cause to talk about. I don't know how I can ask people to donate money to something that we can't identify. And I do think that our project to deal with the challenges of homeless veterans is significant enough that we could go out with that alone, or we could go out with all four. But I gotta say, we gotta get out. You know, it'll be we gotta give this a 2-week window before of work done to get it done for the end of March. So I mean, Jesus, the days are going by like the wind. So if you're putting this out to everybody on this call to discuss it and come back, I mean, we haven't got time to wait around. We got to make some decisions.
It is a tough issue, and but I think it's a good cause. We are in a bit of a predicament here because in many ways we got more homework to do. So I'm not sure how we sort of find the right answer to all this.
I don't see anything wrong with having the board make the decision on which project is going to be. I think that's sort of been our tradition. I think democracy is great, but I think Steve says, I don't think we have the time for that. So for me, I would be quite happy if the board decided which project and informed us. Thanks.
I agree with you. I think we are at the point, and I think there's a strong 4 or 5 people right now who have been moving this forward and doing their homework and recommending it, blah, blah, blah. So I agree with you. I think we should give the decision-making authority to the board right now.
And I would agree with that.
Any other comments?
So maybe just leaving this meeting, Michelle, maybe we arrange a quick board meeting within the coming days, and then we solidify it, and then we go with that direction, and then we arm Steve with what he needs.
Sure. Good. That works for me. I wanted to give people the opportunity for feedback. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with that approach too. But and if the membership is saying that they're okay with the board to do it, then that's our direction as well, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
And usually there is a committee that decides and recommends it to the board. Usually that's the process, isn't it, in the past, folks?
Well, the process that I know about is the board makes the decision. I mean, the individual members will talk among themselves and among their group and whatever. But I think at this particular time, it should be quite in order for the board to make the decision on this, given the time, given the fact we're in the pandemic and all the things you can't normally do. Let's give the board the opportunity to make the decision quickly and we get on with it.
Okay.
Okay, there's your vote.
I see Bruce up there.
Michelle, I was clearly delighted in December when the club supported Polio Plus. So just to back Gordon here, I'm of the view that I don't know what the total would be. So whether the club, as we get a little bit smaller, whether you decide as an executive that the maximum that we're going to do in projects is 30 or 40,000, I am in the camp that says that, for example, if that number is 40, then I would like to see 35,000 of it in a local project. And as Gordon Slade says, 5,000 either to Rotary or to an international project. But I would like to have a budget, as Gordon suggests, for international, one way or the other.
I have no problem with that. I just need to know what you want your international project to look like. Like that's that's the issue, right? The budget has always had has had a one-liner for an international project. But we haven't had any international projects that have been put forward.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, any money that the club has been putting forward to Polio Plus is certainly considered international projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
True.
This
And that's a good one to give it to.
Yeah, our club last year really stepped up. I mean, we put 12,000 for one way or the other. We put $12,000 into. While I can sit here and tell you that in Atlantic, in Newfoundland and Labrador, we raised the 25,000 Canadian. The truth is that half of it came from our club. So our club did a wonderful job in December in making sure that we did 100,000 children in our 100th year. But if it wasn't for our club, it never would have happened, right?
Okay, well, that's all I really had on that. So we know where we're going. Other than that, I did have Steve's auction on it, which was where I was going with my next comment, to say that we have to decide whatever we decide quickly. So that's where we are, and we'll get you something out on that. And my next statement would be, I'd sent out an email. Anyone that does have auction items, let us know what they are so that we can get them, send us a picture and send us the value so that we can start collecting those and starting to format them, because the auction will be online on Handbid and we don't want to be leaving that till the last minute. So the quicker we can get some of that started, the better. That's all I really had. Steve, did you want to add anything to that on the auction stuff?
Nothing beyond, well, beyond what you said. I will be putting the request out to everybody, and obviously to our sponsors and potential sponsors, and really, I guess we need to put some parameters over what we're expecting to get or we're going to ask to get. But that's something that we'll get to in the next couple of days anyway. But
yeah.
I think today's a major step that we can look at this and say we're moving forward. So that's the important thing.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, just one quick comment, sorry, but you said handbid. I think we're more likely to be going to Wayne Bartlett's.
Oh yeah, I call it handbid. It's the online. I meant, yeah, handbid online. All same to me. Whatever we're using.
It would have been to me, except you told me the difference. So.
I just want to check in with.
The biggest difference is $800 to start with.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to check. Fred has helped us for a long time when it comes to, sometimes we get items donated and trying to give them an appraised value. Now, Steve has helped whenever it's been in a certain area, but I'm just wondering if, I'm sure he still is, Fred, if we bug you to get some idea on, because sometimes we get items, but I have no idea what the appraised value is. You know what I'm saying?
With regards to appraised value, the only time we need official appraised values is when the donated item is in excess of $1,000.
Oh,
less than $1,000.
Right.
Less than $1,000. It's, you know, you got to just put your best effort forward to determine a value. Don't say, well, that case of beer is worth $999. That doesn't work. But you know, if you get a case of beer, well, we can figure out how much that's worth. You know, just go down the corner store and see what it's worth. But you know, and stuff that has easily recognizable value, like a picture, you know, yeah, that picture, and that you can go down the street and that sells on the wall for $300. Well, $300 is their value. We just need a way to value it for anything less than $1,000, and just again, do your best effort and document it, and there you go. That's all we need. But over 1,000 requires an appraisal of some form, and that's where Steve and his wine crowd, they certainly do the appropriate valuations on all that. Tom Beckett does all his appraisals.
Still around? Steve, is Tom Beckett still around to do appraisals?
Thank God he is.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'd be lost without him. I mean, there were other people, but Tom has got a lot of experience, and we're concerned about making all this as legitimate as possible. And I think he's got a reputation for doing a fair job for both sides in the sense of making sure we get our money and making sure the donors get a reasonable tax receipt.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Wayne Bartlett himself is great at helping with paintings and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's more
Very
his
good.
area. Wayne,
Yeah.
Wayne helped if we need that there without any question.
So as an aside to that, we will pull together, I guess, Steve, we'll send out some kind of a get together for the auction committee within the next week for sure. Do you want me to send an email on that?
I'll get it to you and you could do that with the Zoom information, whatever, or for whether things will change enough for next week for us to get together in person. I don't know, but certainly some changes were made today.
Yeah. Oh, were they? I haven't.
Yeah, I did. We're going to level 3 today. I don't know what day it is, but they made the decision today.
On Monday, I think.
On the 5th.
Monday. So I assume we'd be able to have a an in-person meeting down next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is, yeah. I don't know what the deal is with in-person meetings. I have to go check it out.
Yeah, that doesn't matter at this point. There's certain things we need to do, and we can do those by Zoom if we have to.
Yeah.
But moving this ahead is a critical thing. So I will get. I've got a bit of work done. I'll need to do a little bit more, and I'll get back to you, Michelle.
Okay, sounds good. Bruce, did you have something?
No, I was just going to ask Steve, outside of the wine, we got Gordon on the call. Is the Fogo Island Inn open this summer? I mean, I wouldn't put Gordon on the spot, but do we write Zeta a letter? How do we get a weekend for two at the Fogo Island Inn? What are the items outside the wine, Steve, that you get the best price for?
Historically, travel has always been really good, but I mean, with the way things have been for the last couple of years, there hasn't been much of that. Dinners were good. Again, the same thing that so last year was heavily skewed to wine. We had some art, and there's always some interest in that, but it's again depends on what it is, and it obviously again depends on the audience. So it's tough to put an obvious cut and dried answer together for you, Bruce. Other than I think wine is going to be probably the big thing again this year. But that doesn't mean, I think it's really important that we find some other things and don't have this appear to be a wine auction only. So, that's an area that I need help with.
But you'd certainly, we're not trying to auction off the big stick Bologna, right? there's a minimum bid that you want to have, a minimum item size. Talk about that for a minute.
I think, I don't want to put anybody off either, but I do, if you've got people going through hundreds of items, they're going to get fatigued before they might get to what they pay more money for. So my opinion at this point would be $100 should be a minimum. Now, I'm open to discuss that, obviously, but if we keep that in mind, it doesn't have to be hard fast, but it certainly should be a guideline.
Well, yeah, you can say 100. There's certain things that you can pair together too, right? So, there's different ways you can slice that one. Like if you have like gift cards, you can pair like 3 or 4 gift cards.
Yes,
build them and stuff like that. So, if it's gift cards, we'll take whatever you're going to give us, right? Like that's easy.
Well, it's also a source that we might get more things than we would otherwise. The people will say gift cards, and whether it be retailers or people giving something they've got, or they buy one and donate it. So
yes,
yeah.
Well,
to answer Bruce's question, the Fogo Island Inn opens on the 22nd of February. So I don't know what Fogo Island Inn would do, but anyway, that's when we open. And I'll find out who the appropriate person is to make a request if that's what the committee wants, club wants. I'll certainly do that.
Let me
certainly
know.
No harm in asking, and if you don't ask, you're not likely to get. So
no,
we'll get.
So well, I'll ask, and I'll talk to the right person about it.
Okay, and if you can let me know, that'll be great, Gordon. Thank you.
Yeah, will do. Yeah.
Okay,
Just one
Uh,
little, one comment to make. It's not related to anything up to this point, but I have more cookbooks available if anybody is looking for them. And I have a small supply of damaged cookbooks that are available for $25 each. Now, the $25, the damage on those is absolutely minimal. There's a little bit of water damage because the case got wet. But Gail doesn't want to sell them for 50, so she said sell it for 25. So if anybody's looking to get a good bargain, I think I've got 7 or 8 of those. And I've got another case of regular price ones. So.
And
You're
you
great.
know that I'm taking 4, right?
I don't know, Gordon, did you email? It was,
4,
I don't, sorry, I have to say, if you sent me an email for 4, I missed it.
Okay, well, I sent you for email first for 2, and then I sent you another email for 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got them. Now, they the $25 ones or the 50?
Yeah.
Rotary Centenary wine, is that all
$25, yeah.
gone?
Okay.
Is the Rotary Centenary wine all gone?
No, there's going to be some available in the auction.
Yeah, for a good price, $300 a bottle. Minimum bid.
With the,
If I
with
don't
the,
drink it all, it's in my basement.
with the obvious increase in demand, obviously the price has certainly got to go up.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's all I got.
Great.
Have a great week.
Yep.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Joe.
Stay
Yeah.
tuned. Meeting details.
Thank you all.
Bye.